Alright, so let's continue. So now that we have a direction, we do know what needs to be done, we have a reference. Let's start with the rules. Now, just a side note, as you must have noticed, I'm on a different system. It's just that I was having some issues with that one, and thus I had to change to this one. So the video and the audio quality may not be the best, so just bear with me on this one. Anyway, we will be writing the rules, and we are going to do that right over here, right within the Firebase console on the project itself. Now, there's also a way to do it offline within the same environment which we have been using till now, the emulators and stuff. And in fact, that way of writing rules is more preferred if you are building a complex application and you have a complex structure like the entire thing. And in fact, you can even do unit testing if you follow that thing. But for this one, for this case, I think writing the rules will be much simpler. So let's do that. Maybe I will cover that as well in a different project, but for now we will be writing the project within the project. We will be writing the rules within the project itself. So over here within the rules tab, we are going to find all the rules that we have. Well, actually the default ones that we get when we select the test mode. And let me just zoom in over here. So assuming that this may be the first time for you for the rules, so let's just start with the very first line that we have over here. So first of all, the language that this uses, it's not JavaScript, as you must have already noticed. It's more of like the common expression language, something like that as per the official docs. So yeah, it's not entirely JavaScript. Well, not anyway. So the very first line that we have this thing, it's just a statement that the rules that we are writing, they are going to follow the version 2, which is relatively new, and it's the default one, so let's just keep it the way that it is. Then on the next line we have service and cloud Firestore. So this is just a declaration that the rules that we are writing, these are for the cloud Firestore. So as you know that Firebase provides different services, different products, and thus we don't want to have any sort of conflicts with the rules that we write over here and with any other service. So it's just like a declaration that these rules are for cloud Firestore. Then we have a match statement. So the match statement works with a path. Next to it we will see this path, as you can see. So this path that we have, it's targeting all the databases. By default there is only one, which is by the name of default, like literally default. And I guess as of like currently you can just have a single database, which is the default. So it's just saying that within the databases, like all the databases, we are targeting all the database. When you wrap anything within the curly braces when specifying a path, this thing is referred as wildcard, which means anything which matches in this segment. And within this we are targeting the documents. Now the thing is, from this thing onwards we target the actual collection that we work with. Like next to this documents, we can target all the collections starting from this point. So this documents, within this we can actually target the links as such, like which is the collection that we work with, the tree that we work with, to say in other words. So within this match we have another match statement. The other thing to keep in mind is that when you nest a match inside of another one, so the path that you specify, it's going to be relative to the parent one. So this thing over here, it's the same thing as of having it over here. So this thing, it's referred as a glob wildcard, which targets all the document within the specified path. So this thing is going to target all the documents, no matter how nested they are, whether they are in the sub collections or the root collections. They're going to target, this thing is going to target all the documents. And within the curly braces you can specify the condition using the allow keyword. So the allow literally means allowing access, and next to it we have to specify the method. like as you know, there are different operations, there are different methods. The read and write are kind of the top level methods. They can be like, they are broken down into different parts. The read is comprised of, as we actually discussed thing, the read is comprised of get and list, and the write is comprised of delete, update, and create. So it's just saying that anyone can read and write. Next to it, we have to specify the condition. It says that if the request dot time, so the request is actually a variable which is exposed within the security rules, and it contains information about the request which was made, like which is made. So this request dot time it denotes the time of the request. So it's just saying that allow anyone to read and write if the request time is less than this timestamp, which is actually the next 30 days. So this thing. Now, if this is the very first time that you're starting with the security rules, you may feel a bit overwhelmed. No need to feel in that way. It's perfectly fine. We will be kind of going through this thing again and again. Now, the other thing is, now we need to write in our own rules. There's one important thing to keep in mind, that if you allow access to any document or documents in one of the rules, in one of the match statements, as this thing, as what we have over here, then that access cannot be revoked, which means that this thing over here is allowing access to all the documents. So even if we try to restrict access to any of the document, like writing our own custom rules, which we will be doing in a second, these rules won't work if we have this thing within the same rules. So make sure to remove this thing, or you can comment this thing out if you want to use it as a reference like in future. So make sure to do this thing, otherwise the rules won't work. So now let's start with the rules in our database that we have. So starting with the very first collection, which is the links, we discussed that anyone can access this collection. Anyone can get a single document, which is something to be emphasized on, like only a single document. We don't want anyone to query through this collection. They can only get a single document using the document ID, which is actually the shortcode, as that's what we are using. So over here, we first need to use the match statement. Then we need to specify the path. The other thing to keep in mind is that the path that you specify, it has to target a specific document or documents. It cannot target a collection. So we cannot specify the path as such, because this thing won't work. We have to nest it down. We have to specify the documents. In this case, as we are looking for, as we want to target all the documents within this collection, we will be using a wildcard as such, and we need to specify the thing. So this thing is the minimal, these documents are the minimal version of the actual link, so we can actually refer them as such. And later, this thing, when you use curly braces, this thing is resolved into a string which can be used within this curly braces. We can refer to it, although in this case we won't be doing that. So now let's add in the allow, and we want to allow the get access as such. In this case, we don't want to impose any sort of condition. We don't have any condition, so we can just leave it the way that it is, which is as such. If we do that, and if we, actually this thing will work because we are just allowing the get access in such a way. So now we can actually test this thing out by using the rules playground that we have over here. Let's pop that open. We have the simulation type, and we have all the different methods, all the different operations. Over here we do not really have the list one, which never mind, doesn't matter. So let's just test the get one first. So within the links, we can target any document, adding in any random text, doesn't matter, just it needs to be a path which can be matched with this thing. So if we run this request, we should be able to get the document Even when we are authenticated, well, it doesn't matter because we're not checking that thing. But the point is, the get request is being allowed. However, if we change the type to be of different one, if the user is trying to create a document within this path, within this collection, then this thing should fail. Even if the user is authenticated, this thing will fail because we are not specifically allowing access to that operation. Perfect. So that's one thing off the list, and now we just need to work on the other collection, the users one that we have over here. And I think I should break the video because the system is making noise as if it's about to take off. So